Hello YouTube, Assume here with another episode of my Hermitcraft LP. We're going to start this one off with an enchantment. So let's set this to full because I'm going to do this at level 45. Here we go. And there it is, level 45. That didn't take long at all. So I'm hoping for Unbreaking 3, Efficiency 4, and if I'm really lucky maybe Fortune or Silk Touch. Oh wow, Efficiency 5. That's great. Now I'm going to do a lot of digging with this pick. In the last episode we were working on the portal building over there, and then I moved on to making this bread maker, and when it came to building the building around it, I didn't have any cobblestone or building materials left, so I said that I was going to work on the slime farm because that involves a lot of digging. But then I remembered that I have another project that I want to do, and if we build it underground then I can get all of the resources I need for that by digging the area for this other project. And what this is going to be is a sapling and apple farm, and one of the reasons that I want to build this is to supplement the tree farm. Now the tree farm should, when it's set up like this, give you enough saplings to replant every time, but what I've found is that you actually fall short by 3 or 4 saplings, and I think that somewhere along the way they've changed the drop rates of saplings from leaves. So that means that I want to build a sapling farm to supplement this, and it will also double up as an apple farm because they drop from leaves as well. So the way the sapling farm works is we place a sapling on the ground and put a column of dirt blocks directly above it. Then when we grow this sapling with bone meal, it's going to turn into a tree, but where these wood blocks are, the dirt blocks will stay, and that means you only have one wood block and you get all of these leaves which are going to start decaying. And I'm not sure if this is close enough to these leaves to stop them from decaying, but as soon as you remove that one wooden block that you've got, you then have a tree's worth of leaves that are decaying. So this information was actually given to me by a subscriber, and what I did was I created a room that contains the tree, and in the bottom of that room I had water flow from one corner to the other that led to a single collection point which had a pressure plate on it. Then when you stood on that pressure plate, it would activate a sticky piston which would push up a block of dirt, and on that you could plant the sapling, use your bone meal, and then harvest it with your axe, and then you would walk back, the dirt would lower into the ground, and then the water would do its magic and collect all of the drops that came from the leaves. So the plan is to build several rooms for each different type of tree because they require different size rooms. And yeah, you'll be able to just go in there and one by one you go into each room and you plant the sapling, you grow it with bone meal, remove the wooden block, and then move on to the next one. And then when you come back at the end and all the leaves have decayed, you'll have some saplings and apples to collect. And so the place that I want to do this, and I've been giving this a bit of thought, is down the end here. I want to have a pathway that goes down and then turns the corner, goes even further down, and then we'll build it off in that direction. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to be away from any of these projects. I originally thought about building it under the ground here, but it seems like it would be best to build it out of the way of anyone's house in case they wanted to expand underneath it. So somewhere over here deep underground is where I'm going to be building it. So the best thing to do is to start off by building the pathway. And the reason I chose this location as well is because the view from here isn't that great. You just see this that needs removing, and let's check out how fast that efficiency 5 is. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, all you can see is all of this dirt, and from the other side you have a nice view of the beach, so it didn't make sense to build it over there. I made some progress with the stairs leading down to where we're going to build the sapling farms, and these go on for quite a stretch because I want to make sure that they're not going to be too close to the surface and mess up this farm. And I think what I'm going to do is put the birchwood and oak ones on this side and then the pine and jungle on the other, because they're going to be bigger and then they'll be under this big hill, so there's an extra buffer in case they do come up that high, which I'm pretty sure they won't. But yeah, and if you're wondering why I didn't go for normal stairs, it's because you can sprint up these, and that means you can actually get up and down these quicker than going on normal stairs. So at the moment I've broken into a caving system, which makes me think it's probably a good idea to build it around here, as maybe part of the job will already be done for me. I've now built part of the entrance here. I've done the same thing as on this side with the wooden planks and the grass for the roof. and I need to put some glass in on the sides here, but yeah, very simple, some cobblestone, wooden support beams, and then I thought for this bit going down here it'd be nice to use all 4 different types of wooden planks, which would kind of suit the theme that there'll be sapling farms for all 4 different types of tree down there. So this bit I'm going to do last, so I guess next I'll be working on the sapling farm. Down here at the bottom of the stairs I've started work on the first sapling farm, and we're going to have this big corridor between all of our sapling farms, and there's going to be 8 on each side, so that's 4 for each type of sapling, and that's an awful lot of digging to do, but I'll get a ton of cobblestone and resources from it, so it'll be worth it in the long run. Anyway, I'm going to show you how to build this. So we've got redstone wire down the bottom here, a sticky piston with dirt on top, and the first thing we should do actually is place all of our dirt. Can we get it? There we go. So you need to place it like that and then leave 2 blocks so you can stand underneath it. And then I'm going to fill this in and put down that. And one important thing we need is lighting in here as well. So I think I'll probably put 4 jack-o'-lanterns in here. There we go. And then at the front of the room I want to have glass to block off the water, and I plan on actually making the whole front here out of glass, and then you can just walk and stand on the pressure plate. Then at the back of the room we need some water, and now we need our sapling and bone meal. So if we stand on the pressure plate, then it's going to bring up the dirt, and then we can do that. And yeah, it takes a couple of goes, which is interesting because on creative mode it works fine with just one, so I'm going to have to look into that. But yeah, then you can remove that. I can hear a zombie, and now all the drops are just going to eventually fall down into this water stream and collect at this pressure plate. The leaves have finished decaying, and from that tree I got 2 apples, which was very fortunate, but only 2 saplings. And that's quite interesting because you used to get about 5 or 6 from one tree, so they must have lowered the rates at some point, and that's a little bit worrying if you only get 2 back. But I'll do a few more tests and we'll find out what the average is. I've done quite a few tests now, and it seems like the average yield is about 3 saplings, and this makes this sapling farm seem less effective, but at the same time more needed, because we know those tree farms aren't going to supply themselves with what they need. And I'm still not too sure why I have to use more bone meal than I did on creative. I'm still looking into that. I tried adding these torches so there was more light, but that didn't affect it. And I think that maybe I've made a miscount on the ceiling. But anyway, I'm going to raise the ceiling up by 1 block and do some tests with it like that. I've now built 3 of these sapling farms, and it seems like the spawn rate's a little bit higher. It's actually about 4 or 5 saplings for each one. And these all have the raised roof height. And I've noticed that if we're to grow a tree, and that's one of the ones that actually grows higher, that was what I wanted to show you. Normally they grow at this height, and then the ones that are slightly taller can now grow as well, so you have more chance of getting a tree with your bone meal. And I figured out why I always get them to grow on creative, and that's because it's creative mode. It's friendly with the bone meal. It means every time you use it, it will make a tree grow. So that's the answer to that one. And another thing I've noticed is that if I'm to hold down right click on the sapling here, the bone meal will spam, and it looked like I used about 3 or 4 then, whereas actually I think I only used 1 or 2, and basically there's a bit of lag between the server and the client. So if I do that one more time, what have we got? 35, and there you go. It looked like I must have used 2 or 3 on there, and now it's 34, so that's actually not using as much bone meal as I thought it was. I've built a sapling farm for the jungle tree, and this one has a lot taller roof so that the trees can actually grow on there. And although jungle trees can grow at a similar height to the oak trees, you get a better chance if you build a bigger room of them growing. And at this height it seems like it takes about 1 or 2 bone meal for each sapling, and I've been doing a lot of tests. And here's the thing, I started out with 4 of these saplings and I now have none, and we've got 1 harvest to go through, and it seems like the average drop rate is about half, so every other one that you do you get about 1 sapling back. So it seems pretty pointless to have a farm for saplings when you're not going to get any back from jungle trees. So that got me thinking that if we have a bigger room here, we can actually grow normal trees in this room as well. So the plan was to make 4 rooms for each type of sapling, and we're not going to use the jungle one now anyway, but I could make it an option by making the room big enough. But why not just make all of the rooms big enough, and then that way, depending on what saplings you were after, or if you wanted apples as well, you could just use all the different rooms at the same time. And yeah, another thing I've noticed is that this room seems lighter than that one, and I think there's sunlight creeping in. In fact, yeah, I think it's creeping in from up there, and we've got a skeleton. He's been standing there for ages watching over us. Hasn't shot me for some reason. I think he's a friendly one. But anyway, yeah, I'm thinking of actually building less sapling farms overall, so maybe, although I've dug this out, just cut the room off here and then build another Thor on this side. But I'll make up my mind first, and yeah, I think we'll probably have a maximum of 6 on either side. So yeah, in fact, that's what I want to do. I'm going to cut off the room here and have 6 sapling farms on either side and make it so we can grow any tree type in all of them. Because I'd done all of my testing in creative mode, I didn't realise that bone meal worked differently in that, and now that I'm doing everything in survival, I'm finding out that this doesn't work on pine and birch trees either. There you go, you can see it clearly doesn't work. And I don't think there's any other variable involved here that I've overlooked or anything. And yeah, you just can't do it with the row of dirt above it. Now, the jungle trees kind of grow like oak trees, so I imagine the programming behind them has sort of been copied and pasted and edited a little bit, and that's why jungle trees work in here as well. So now we've gone from having a sapling farm for all different 4 tree types, and now really all we've got is the one for the oak farm, and so this to me is now just a supplement for our tree farms and an apple farm as well, and it's not going to be any use for birchwood and pinewood, which is rather unfortunate. Now that we're only using this for one type of tree, I've been testing it while I've been building the last 2 sapling farms. And what I do is I go to the first one and I set it up. I stand on the pressure plate, do all the business, and then I just do that on the next one and the one after and go around in a circle. And by the time I get to the end, I come back to the first one and not all of the leaves have decayed. In fact, about 60% of them I'd say would have decayed. So in order to make this even more useful, we could have more of these, and then by the time you go around all of them and get back to the first one, you'll be collecting all of your drops, or you can continue planting them and collecting as well. But I don't want to build another 8 cells because they take up a lot of space and a lot of time, and I'm not sure how often I'm going to be using this really. I'd imagine that you'd only need a few at a time, so you'd probably just use a couple of these farms at once. But anyway, I'm going to build 2 more on this side, 2 more on that side, so we'll have 12 in total. I've now finished building the last 4 sapling farms, and now that these are complete I want to do one last test. I'm going to go around in a circle using them one by one, and when I get to the last one I'll go over and check on the first, and we'll see how much of the leaves have decayed from that one. And there's some modifications that I want to make to these. These are actually unfinished, by the way. I need to put glass going all the way up to the ceiling and back down to the other side so that no saplings or drops land on top of the glass blocks. But the modification that I want to make is to extend the pressure plate out by 1 block. And the reason for this is that you can actually use the farm from back here. I just stand, there you go, you can see I'm standing on the block behind the pressure plate. And then when the drops are brought out, they'll be brought out to this block rather than the one just before it. And that means at the moment I'm walking past and hugging it like this to pick up the saplings, and then if we were to bring it out 1 block I could just walk in a straight line like this with no problems and collect all of the drops after I've gone round and used all of the sapling farms. So yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to mention, was the pick. I pretty much used this pick for this project alone, so if you see how much of it's left there, it gives you a good idea of yeah, how much an unbreaking free pick lasts for. I've just used the last sapling farm, and now go back to the first one. You can see that there's still quite a few leaves to decay, but I reckon about 4 more would probably do it if you want to build one of these yourself, but I'm happy with that for now. And this is what I was talking about. I can just walk along in a line like this and pick up all of the drops. Now that all the sapling farms are finished and tested, we can move on to doing the aesthetics in this room. And this is what I'm thinking. We've got these stone brick columns, and then they're going to turn into support beams and go all the way across to the other side and go back down again. And then we've got this dark wood plank going across this way, and then for the ceiling we can use light birchwood planks. And what I'm thinking is, rather than keep it plain, I'm going to have it go maybe in a pattern, or do something different with it basically, and probably throw in some lights like some glowstone or jack-o'-lanterns as well. So let's take a look. I've put glass on the sides, and I've also done the wood at the top, and down the end here I finished doing the wood ceiling. Just 2 bits of glowstone in there. I didn't really feel like anything else worked. At first I tried 3. I had one in the middle, one over there, and one over there, and it seemed like the glowstone was too close to the edge because you got this 2-block cushion around it on the other sides. So then I moved them in 1 block like this, and with the 3rd one in the middle it still didn't look right, and now I think it looks a lot better, but it's nothing special really. But anyway, I'm going to continue building this going down to the end and all of that, and then we will work on the floor. Oh, and I've also done the edges over here where we have these steps in the corner. I've got them going around the side like this, and it got me thinking as well that perhaps for the ceiling of this part going up we could have stone brick slabs going like this all the way up, but we'll do that a bit after the floor. At last I've finally finished it, and this looks good. It's nice and simple, and yeah, that looks pretty decent. So next I want to work on the floor. Oh, and yeah, over the back here, I'm not sure what I want to do with this. I was thinking of maybe filling in a wall with stone, or maybe trying to turn it into a little bit of a feature. If that's something we could do, we could have water coming down and put some of those jack-o'-lanterns underneath. I don't know, I think it's something to do with this. But what I was thinking is that in the future, maybe when the village is a lot bigger, we might need a second entrance from over this side, so that's something to consider. But for now I'm going to fill that in with a feature, and that's actually what I'll do next, and then we'll move on to the floor. Here's the feature, and real simple. Got some jack-o'-lanterns underneath there, and then the water comes down. I've put light wood, dark wood, light wood, and that's just nice and simple. But anyway, the floor's what we're going to be doing next, and what I think I want to do is copy what we have on the ceiling and put it on the bottom, and I'm going to change it up a fair bit, but I want to get the same sort of shape going on. And one of those things that I said I wanted to be able to do is to run across like this. So I'm thinking that maybe what we'll do is get the shape of the floor, of the ceiling on the floor, and oops, forget how fast that is, and then put glass along the edge here, so we'll be able to see, like we're going to have wood blocks under the glass like up there. We'll be able to see all of the detail, but we'll be able to run along like this. So here's the idea that I had. I wanted to copy what we have on the ceiling and put it on the floor, and instead of birchwood we would have grass. And then I said about having glass along the side here so you could walk all the way along. Well, I was thinking that perhaps we could have glass for the entire floor, because it'll be 2 blocks above the grass. And at the moment I'm unsure about this for a couple of reasons. First of all is that it could end up being a bit expensive, because we need to light up the grass, and I was thinking I don't want to place down a bunch of torches on them, but maybe that's what I'll end up doing. But the alternative would be to use glowstone, and I don't think jack-o'-lanterns would really suit the kind of theme we have going on in here, so at the moment I'm in 2 minds about what to do. So I've covered this up for now. I've decided that I want to take a break from doing this. My pick's practically worn out and it's going to go at any point, and there's still a lot more digging to do, and I've been doing this for hours now, so I feel like I want to take a break from this. And there's a couple of things that I want to do on the bread maker, so we should head over there, and yeah, I'll show you what I've got in mind. We're back here at the bread maker, and I want to fix the one problem that we have with this, and that is that the dispenser over here on the right hand side sometimes activates twice, and it gives us 2 seeds instead of 1. Now, I'm no redstone expert, but basically if you power the dispenser in a certain way, it'll actually activate twice, when it powers on and it powers off. And I don't know the technical details behind why or how that happens, and it hasn't been happening with us so far, but there should be a way that we can stop that happening, and that's to create a 1-tick pulse. So I'm going to create a circuit that actually does that, and I'll explain to you how it works, and then we're going to hook it up to the dispenser, so it will be powered by a 1-tick pulsar, and we're going to build one of those on either side. Now I don't know if this will actually fix it, but because we'll only be sending one small pulse to the dispenser, that should eliminate the chance that it will actually dispense 2 seeds. So once I've built them, I'll do a test, and I guess if it goes for a long time without doing it, perhaps that means it's fixed it. I've added the 1-tick pulses to the bread maker, and unfortunately this doesn't work. Although it did seem to make the machine much more stable. I was running it for a lot longer than usual before the dispensers gave me 2 seeds. So I'm going to leave it on for now, and I'm also going to explain this for those of you who don't know how this works. When the redstone gets powered, it powers the block that it's on. So it's going to power this block and power the repeater, and it's also going to power this one as well because the redstone wire goes up the top. And that was very strange. Oh, I know what caused that. Let's have a look. Maybe not. I thought perhaps I left the seeds in there, because this actually happened to me the other day. I can't remember if I mentioned it, but I was using the machine and I stopped for a second, and then the seeds actually grew and activated the next step in the machine because it activated the bud switch. But I can't remember if I left some planted in there or not. But anyway, that might be why that just activated randomly. So what was I saying? Yes, we'll go around to the other side so it makes more sense what we're looking at. So when this gets powered, it's going to power this block and this one, and that's going to activate the repeater and the torch at the same time. So the torch is going to turn off, and that'll turn off this wire, and then the repeater is going to turn on. So because we have this on a delay, it means there's a slight moment between when the torch turns off and the repeater comes on, and that creates a 1-tick pulse. So that's how that works, and unfortunately that didn't help us. So the other modification that I wanted to add to the bread maker was a button to give you seeds when you first walk into the machine and you're ready to use it. So if we press this button, you'll see that we get seeds twice, and I don't know if this is a bug, but basically this is how it works. It gets activated when the redstone turns it on, and it also gets activated when the redstone turns off, so that's why we get it twice. So what I want to do is do the same thing we just done a moment ago, and wire up a 1-tick pulser that we can activate using a button, and wire that directly to this dispenser, and then we'll be able to get 1 seed and start using the machine. So here we go. This was very simple. Only 1 seed, and again it's just a 1-tick pulser. Let's go have a look at it. So the button powers that redstone dot, and that will power this block and the block underneath it, and then that will power our redstone torch and our repeater. So that's all we have time for this episode, and on the last video lots of you were asking why I'm always using iron tools, and yeah, I'm trying to hold off from using diamonds, because if I can get a whole stack of diamond blocks, which takes 9 stacks of diamonds, we've got 3.5 so far, or near enough that, then I can make a stack of diamond blocks and sacrifice them into the lava. So that's why I've been using these iron tools, and yeah, there's something else that I want to do before this episode's over, and I love doing things like this. Yeah, you know, a stack of golden apples. There we go, awesome. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.